Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to construct a budget variance analysis using the absolute value function in Microsoft Access. Today's question comes from Gavin in Norwalk, Connecticut, one of my silver members. Gavin says, "Hi, I'm currently working on a project where I need to create a budget variance analysis in Microsoft Access. My task is to compare our company's actual monthly expenses against our planned budget. For instance, in November, our actual spending was $5,000, but we had budgeted $4,500. I need to calculate the variance to understand the magnitude of deviation from our budget, regardless of whether we spent more or less than planned." Okay, Gavin, this isn't that hard to do. We have to use something called the absolute value function. And you can do it in a query or a form or a report. Let me show you how. Before we do that, though, if you don't know how to make calculated fields in Access, either in a query or a form, go watch this video first. It's free. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on my website. It'll teach you what you need to know before we get started. Okay, let's say I got my budget data in a table, and I've got my, budget ID, my auto number. Now, I like to store information in actual date fields. So for budgeting, for example, I would say month, start, date, make that a date value. And then you'll put in there, like for this year, you'd put in January 1st, 2023, and then for February 1st, 2023, and so on. I don't like breaking those down into different, like month and year fields. I know a lot of people do. And then here we'll put the budget amount, a currency value, and then the actual amount. You'll put in there the actual amount that you spent. Now, you might have your data stored in tables different ways. You could have individual transactions, and you got to bring them all together with an aggregate query to get totals for each month. I've got whole separate videos on that. I'll put some links down below for that. But let's assume you get your data in this format. All right, let's save this as our budget table, primary key, yes. Let's put a few bits of data in here. All right, the month start date, we'll put in here 1/1. Let's say we budgeted $2,000 and we spent $3,000. Okay? Make it bigger here. All right, next month, we got 2/1. Let's say we budgeted $2,400 and we came in under budget that month. We spent $1,800. And one more, we'll do 3/1. Let's say our budget was $2,600 and we spent $3,500. Okay. And yes, for those of you who don't know what this is, that's the ISO date standard, year, month, day. I am on a personal mission to get the entire world to convert to this format. Go watch this video for details. Okay, now what we want to do is make a calculated field in a query that takes a look at the difference between these two. But if that's negative, just ignore the negative part. And for that, we use the absolute value function. So let's close this. Save changes, sure. Let's create a query. Create. Query design. We're going to bring in the budget table we just created. All right, bring in all the fields. And right here, we're going to make a difference value. All right, I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better. Shift F2. Okay, I want to be able to see the fields back here. We're going to call this difference, or just diff is fine. Difference is going to be the budget amount minus the actual amount. Okay, and since I don't have spaces in my field names, I don't need to put the brackets in there. Access will add them for me. If you come back in, you'll see that it does that, but that's okay. Okay, now if I run this query, you'll see there's my difference right there, right? Under budget, over budget, under budget. Or actually, it's the other way around because I subtracted this one minus that one. But it doesn't matter for the purposes of this video, for what we're trying to do. Okay, let's go back to design view. Now, in the next column, I'm going to take the absolute value of that. Absolute value, for those who don't know, is just a math term saying it's the distance on the number line from that value to 0. Whether it's positive or negative doesn't matter. In fact, it just chops off the negative sign. Okay? So again, I'll zoom in. All right, and this is going to be the actual variance, let's call it. And that's going to be the absolute value, ABS, of diff. Okay, that field we just calculated. Hit OK. run it, and there's your actual variance, or just your variance. See, it's all positive values. And now you can just use that in your forms and reports. Now, if you want to skip a step, you can. I like to, when I'm teaching this stuff, especially for beginners, I like to show the individual steps in the query because it makes it easier for beginners to comprehend. But if you want to skip a step, you can get rid of this, right? You can come right into here, and you can just say, let's change this to variance or just V. And this will be the absolute value, ABS, of that whole thing. It's just shorthand. Okay, run it, and you get the same values. And I will save this as my budget Q. And now you can go ahead and use this value. You can use the budget Q in your forms and reports, or you can put this value directly in a form too. Let's say, for example, you've got a budget form. Let's make it a continuous form, right? I've got a continuous form. It's just basically a blank form over here that I have formatted the way I like it. Watch my blank template video if you want to learn more about how this database was built. I'll put a link to that down below as well. But I'll just use this guy. I'll copy and paste it. Control C, Control V. We'll call this my budget F. Come into the budget F, right click, design view. We'll change the record source by double clicking right there where that little box is. We're going to go to data and make this guy bound to the budget Q, the budget query. Or let's go right to the budget table. It doesn't matter. If you go to the query, then you'll have that field V that will show up in the form, which is one way to do it. And that's certainly fine. That's great. Or you could do it straight in the budget table. You could put a calculated field right in the table. Let me show you, because you can do this in reports too. It works the same exact way in reports. Budget T. Okay, so I don't have the V field that shows up in budget Q. Okay, but we can add it in here. So let's go, now that we have this bound to the record source, let's go to form design, add existing fields. All right, let's come over here. I'm going to take these guys, shift click on the last one, and then click and drag. We're going to drop them all in here. And I just keep these fields around for formatting because I can click on that, and then I can go to the format painter, which is right up there. Paint that. See how it brings in the color? That's all. That's the only thing I do. Then I delete these guys. Okay, get rid of the labels. We can arrange these like so, right? The ID, if you care to see it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. The month start date right there. All right, the budget amount, the actual amount. And then we got our labels across the top, right? Month. And then what I do sometimes is I go cheap. I just make one big label here, and then I just put some spaces in there, right? Budget, actual. It's just easier than copying and pasting all these different labels. And it looks the same. Okay, get rid of all that extra space. We'll get rid of that space. We're going to put the variance over here. Save that, close it. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, looks good. A little formatting, right? Left align that, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, now we want to put that calculated value over here. Design view. Make it a little bit bigger. We can close this field list now. Okay, this is a value that's not actually in the underlying table, right? Again, we could bind the form to budget Q, but let's do it right in the form. All right, I'm just going to copy and paste this. Copy, paste. Slide it up here. Open it up. All right. Now, let's go to the All tab so we can see everything. All right. First, let's give it a good name. Let's call this variance. And the control source is where we're going to put our function now. Okay. So I got rid of what's in there. I'm going to zoom in again, Shift F2, so you can see it. This is going to be equals. You write it slightly different in a form or report field than you do in the query. Right? Here we're going to say equals ABS and then our two fields. What are they? They're right there. Budget amount minus actual amount. And that's it. Right? Hit OK. You can extend your label if you want to. Right? Variance. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too big. Bring it back. Right? Shrink that. Shrink that. Save it. We're going to close it. We're going to reopen it. Where are you? Budget F. And there you go. Now, the one downside to putting the value directly in the form is that you can't put it in a form total on the bottom. So I wanted to show you both ways. Watch this. Okay, if you come down here, let me just copy these three things. Copy, paste, put them down here. Slide them over. Okay. Now, if you want to put totals down here in the form footer, and I got a whole separate video on this. Here's that video. I'll put a link to this down below. All right. And here, all you do is you say, instead of just budget amount, you put in here, again, I'll zoom in for you. You put in equals sum of budget amount using the sum function. Okay. And then rename the field. I don't like text9. We'll call it sum budget amount. We'll do the same thing for this, the actual amount, right? Equals the sum of the actual amount. Sum actual amount. Now, for this guy, okay, you could try a couple different things. You could, let's say this guy's called variance, right? So in here, you could try equals the sum of variance, like that. Hit OK. Sum variance, right? Save it, close it, take a peek, and you get an error. Okay? And that's because this guy is referencing a field that's not in the underlying table or query. It doesn't know what variance is at this point. Okay? You could try doing it like this. You could try the sum of, give me that absolute value function again. Instead of that, we'll put this in here. Okay, put that absolute value of budget minus that inside the sum function. We'll see if that works. Save it, close it, open it, and okay, there you go. That one does work. Okay, but that's complicated, right? So the easiest way to handle this is to simply base this form on that budget queue. This is much easier. Now, instead of putting the functions in here, now you have that V, which you can rename variance in the query if you want to, right? You can put that here. And then down here, now all you have to do is say sum of V. That's a whole lot easier, right? Save it, close it, open it, and there you go. I don't personally like putting crazy functions in here, even though sometimes they'll work, sometimes they don't. So if you're going to put something in here where you want form footer totals, put it in the underlying query. Okay, and the same technique is going to work for you in reports as well. Exactly the same. Just put it in the footer that you want. And it has to be either in a group footer or a report footer, not the page footer. Page footer will not display those properly. There's a trick, and I've got a whole video on that one too. If you want to learn more about this stuff, in the Access Expert 26 class, I cover all kinds of different math functions. Absolute value, you can see it right there. Sine, round, int, fix, val, all kinds of stuff. Logarithms, pi, you name it. I have a whole series called The Comprehensive Guide to Access Functions, where I cover all the functions grouped by type. The text functions, the math functions, the conversion functions, all kinds of functions, lookup functions, right? It's a whole multi-part series, but this is the one that covers the math functions. So check it out. I'll put a link to it down below. But that's going to do it for today. That's your Tech Help video. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have below. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. Click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Want to learn more? Click the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. YouTube does a pretty good job of hiding it. It's right down there. See this part of the description here, right? The name, the video's up here. There's a little Show More down there, right down the bottom. It's kind of hard to find. But once you click on that, you'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. And YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted like they used to do. But if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link to join my mailing list. And you can pick how frequently to get emails from me, either as they happen, daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, if you'd like to become a paid member of my channel and receive all kinds of awesome perks, click on the Join button. You'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks, including my extended cut videos, access to my code vault, lots of VBA source code in there, template downloads, and lots more. I'll talk more about these perks at the end of the video. Even if you don't want to commit to becoming a paid member and you'd like to help support my work, please feel free to click on the tip jar link. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got some puppies to feed. But don't worry, no matter what, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you really want to learn Access and you haven't tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, and more. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? The whole thing, free, 4 hours. Go watch it. And okay, a lot of you have told me that you don't have time to sit through a 4-hour course. So I do now have a quicker Microsoft Access for Beginners video that covers all the basics faster in about 30 minutes. And no, I didn't just put the video on fast forward. But I'll put a link to this down below as well. Now, if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it, $1. And that's another whole 90-minute course. Level 2 is also free for paid members of any level, including supporters. So if you're a member, go watch level 2. It's free. Okay, want to get your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page and send me your question there. Members get priority, of course. While I do try to read and respond to all of the comments posted below in the comments section, I only have time to go through them briefly a couple of times a month, and sometimes I get thousands of them. So send me your question here on the Tech Help page, and you'll have a better chance of getting it answered. And while you're on my website, be sure to stop by my Access forum. We've got lots of lively conversations about Microsoft Access and other topics. I have a fantastic group of moderators who help me answer questions. Shout out to Alex, Kevin, Scott, Adam, John, Dan, Juan, and everybody else who helps out on the site. I appreciate everything you do. I couldn't do it without you. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Facebook too, but I don't like Facebook. Don't get me started. Now, let's talk more about those member perks if you do decide to join as a paid member. There are different levels: Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. Silver members and up get access to all of my extended cut Tech Help videos, one free beginner class every month, and some other perks. Gold members get all the previous perks, plus access to download the sample databases that I build in my Tech Help videos, plus access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions that I use, the code that I build in most of the videos. You'll also get higher priority if you do submit any Tech Help questions. Now, answers are never guaranteed, but you do go higher in the list for me to read them. And if I like your question, you got a good chance of it being answered. You'll also get one free expert level class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks plus even higher priority for Tech Help questions. You get access to all of my full beginner level courses for every subject. And I cover lots of different subjects like Word, Excel, VBA, ASP, lots of different stuff, not just Access. These are the full-length courses found on my website. You get all the beginner ones. In addition, once you finish the expert classes, you get one free developer class per month. So lots of training. And finally, you can also become a Diamond sponsor. You'll have your name or your company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown on each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you again soon.